Have you ever had a conversation go completely off the rails and you have absolutely no idea why? It so often starts with something really small, just a tiny misunderstanding that somehow snowballs into this huge problem. So today we're going to build our communication toolkit together. We're going to learn how to spot these breakdowns and, more importantly, how to fix them before they even start.
Okay, so let's just dive right in with a classic example. Somebody says to you, "Let's meet early." Sounds simple, right? But what does early actually mean? Is that 7:30 in the morning? Is it 9 a.m.? This one little phrase is the perfect starting point for where communication begins to fracture.
Oh man, I think we've all been there. You think you and the other person are on the same page, but it turns out you're not even in the same library. One of you shows up for a meeting 2 hours before the other, all because of that one little word. And that is the exact kind of miscommunication chaos we are going to learn how to prevent. Our toolkit's going to start with a little diagnosis. We have to figure out why our words misfire in the first place.
All right, first up in our toolkit, the diagnostic kit. The whole goal here is to learn how to spot that invisible gap between what we say and what somebody else actually hears. We have got to learn to mind the meaning gap.
So the main culprit behind that meaning gap, it actually has a name. It's called bypassing. And this is just the technical term for when we use the exact same word, but we have completely different ideas in our heads. That whole early meeting situation, yep, that was a classic case of bypassing.
And this is a perfect example. I mean, how wild is it that one single phrase can have literally opposite meanings? If you say table the motion in the US, you mean let's postpone it. Let's deal with it later. But in the UK, it means the exact opposite. Let's discuss it right now. Just imagine the absolute chaos in that meeting. That is bypassing in action.
So to get this, we need to know there are two types of meaning. The first one's the easy one, denotative meaning. This is just the literal dictionary definition of a word. It's objective. It's the meaning we can all pretty much agree on. But here is where it gets tricky. We also have connotative meaning. This is all the personal, emotional baggage and all the cultural associations we attach to a word. It is totally subjective, and this is where most of our misunderstandings really live. Okay, let's take the word teacher to see this in action. The dictionary definition, that's its denotative meaning, it's simple, right? A person who instructs. But what's the connotative meaning for you? Does it bring up warm feelings of a supportive mentor? Or maybe a little anxiety about a strict grader who gave you a tough time? That emotional layer is completely different for everyone. And this meaning gap can turn into a canyon when we use abstract language. Words like success, or quality, or freedom, they feel good to say, but they're incredibly vague. My idea of what success looks like might be totally different from yours.
So the first real tool for our kit is this. Always pair those big, abstract terms with concrete, specific examples. Instead of just saying, let's aim for success, you say, success for us looks like a 10% increase in Q4 sales. And instantly, bam, everyone is on the same page, working toward the exact same measurable goal. See, when you do that, you close the meaning gap. Now that we know why misunderstandings happen, let's move on to our repair kit and look at the real impact our words actually have.
Okay, let's open the second part of our toolkit, the repair kit, because understanding the problem is one thing, but fixing it means we have to choose our words wisely. This is all about recognizing that our words have a real, tangible impact on the world around us.
It's actually amazing when you break it down. Our words shape reality in 5 key ways. First, they let us create and label our experiences. Just giving a name to something like imposter syndrome helps us actually see it. Second, they communicate how we're feeling. Third, they totally affect actions. I mean, calling something a cost versus an investment can completely change a major decision. Fourth, they shape our culture. And finally, maybe most importantly, they can literally make or break our relationships. Every single word we choose has a real consequence.
So with that in mind, let's get really practical in our final section. We are going to put specific word choices head to head to see exactly what makes people defensive versus what creates a supportive space where you can actually solve problems together.
Just look at this comparison. The defensive way uses that evaluative you language, "you're careless." It's an attack, and it immediately makes someone put up a wall. But the supportive way, it's descriptive. It uses I language to just explain your own experience. I felt rushed. See? You're not blaming. You're just describing the impact it had on you. That invites problem solving, not a fight. Here's another super common trap. That detached response. Calm down. It just dismisses someone's feelings. It basically tells them that their emotion is wrong. The supportive, empathic response does the opposite.
It validates the feeling, I can see this is frustrating, and then it turns toward a solution, together. That's how you build connection. And finally, you gotta watch out for pulling rank. A superior tone like, do as I say, just shuts down all collaboration. But treating someone as an equal, asking for their input, hey, what do you recommend? That shows respect and it actually leverages their expertise. It turns a monologue into a dialogue, and that's what builds trust.
Now there's one last really destructive habit we have to call out by name, gunnysacking. You know what I'm talking about. This is when you're arguing about who left the dishes out and then suddenly you bring up that thing they did last month and that other thing from last year. You're dumping a whole sack of old grievances into the current conversation and it just completely derails everything.
And the fix for this is so beautifully simple. Address one issue at a time. That's it. Keep the conversation focused on the specific problem you are trying to solve right now. If there's a pattern, sure, you can mention it, but always bring it back to the current solvable issue. You know, that's what this all comes down to. Effective communication isn't some kind of magic. It's a skill you can learn. It's about diagnosing that meaning gap, understanding the power of your words, and deliberately choosing language that supports rather than attacks.
So as we wrap up, I'm going to leave you with this question. A little challenge, actually. Think about your week ahead. What's one conversation, big or small, where you can consciously use one of these tools? Really think about it. How are you going to use one of these tools to fix a conversation before it even has a chance to break?